Love it.
uh, Gadi Bangla and all of that. I mean, I'll get murdered for this, but we're a little bit more laissez-faire. Aam Janta, as people would like to say.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to GP World. In today's episode of Impact Shift, we have with us Ashish Mehta. Ashish brings over 20 years of experience in the corporate world, having worked with firms like Fidelity, Goldman Sachs, Emerson's, and Dunnhumby. He has since then made a shift into the sustainability space, where he now works across climate action, social equity, and finance. He's also a founder of Minus CO2, a platform that helps individuals and businesses reduce their carbon footprint. We're excited to have him with us today and dive into the why and how behind his move from corporate to climate-focused work.
Ashish, great to have you on the Impact Shift series where we try to unpack your journey from a mainstream corporate career to a profession that's rooted in sustainability and impact. Thank you so much for agreeing to be here today. Let's inspire some more people to make that shift. So let's just jump straight in to our first question. Of course, we are very curious about how this transition happened, about what you were doing before and what it is that you do now.
Very traditional background. Started with engineering, did a few jobs in that space, got a master's in the US, worked there for 11 years in the US. Those are all engineering, manufacturing side of jobs and the process control side. And then we moved back to India as a family and first moved to Bangalore. And there I made a switch, the first switch from a career standpoint, domain wise, into the capital markets or financial services side. I've kind of worked for tier one companies through this journey. And I worked in two companies there, Fidelity and then Goldman Sachs, both in Bangalore, right next to each other. And this was right at the time when the 2008 recession happened and the crisis hit. So I kind of, in a short journey of within that domain, I got a lot of exposure. So that exposure is important because that helps me a lot today. Um, and then I made another switch, and again we moved geographies. We moved the family to Gurgaon, NCR, and I then was in the retail side, consumer analytics, consumer retail. So the big thread that joins my career is really what today is big data. My last corporate role was in Mumbai, which was setting up first and then running a joint venture between Future Group and Dunnhumby, which is a multinational company based out of the UK that does consumer analytics. So the model is a JV model, and that's kind of where I think parked my career from a corporate standpoint. And I think what I learned through all of that was, for me, a change is very important, I guess. Naturally, I think I need to do that. But the other thing is I need to feel contributive and I'm passionate about what work I do. And I think that's where, in hindsight, I see that as being the key drivers in that journey. Yeah, did all the things of, you do the corporate, climb the corporate ladder. You're a junior person initially, then you're a senior person, then you go into top management. Yeah, seen all that thread, which I think helps me again today, having had that exposure.
And tell us a little bit about what you do today, right now.
So today I am basically an impact entrepreneur and advisor. I am a co-founder at a company called Minus CO2, where what we're doing is clean energy solutions for things like residential, hospitals, schools, small commercial, small industrial. Clean energy, which would mean energy solar solutions, which would mean battery backups where you're trying to get rid of diesel. So that's one thing that Minus CO2 does, which is, portfolio is growing. We're doing, we kind of have now reached a point of carving a sector for us. And then I run a company called Second Nature Sustainable Solutions. And what we've narrowed down there, it's been a journey, right? You start somewhere and then you land up somewhere, and then along the way you change what you're doing. What started as consulting for enterprises, again in the energy and waste space, including wastewater, industrial waste, has now transformed into an advisory for small enterprises. And these are people who are change makers in the social sector, in the environmental sector, and they're looking to basically put their ideas forth and basically grow in that and create impact. So in this case, we don't differentiate between a for-profit or a not-for-profit. We don't differentiate between size of organization, vintage, tenure, none of those things. So for change makers, how do you help them actually grow? Because the ecosystem that's out there is not really, in my opinion, providing that level of support. And that's the focus of Second Nature Impact Advisory. I do a little bit more here and there. There's always something or the other going on, which I put in the category of evangelism, trying to drive the impact notion, which is fundamentally you can today do good, which is the idea of, hey, do good for others, do good for the world, do good for the earth and other species, plus do well, right? You can combine these two. Do well is the model I grew up in, that do well for yourself, earn your stripes, build your career, uh, gadi bangla and all of that. Do Today the career opportunities are out there to combine these two, do good plus do well. And that's, I think, where a lot of my personal energy goes in, and things which don't fall into the narrow bucket of this company or that company.
Right. Thanks so much. That's very enlightening. So coming to our second question, when you moved over, was there like a trigger point? Was there a day that you just thought that I can't do this anymore? Or what was that point?
I think when I moved, I was probably 10 years too late. Or
What
10
took
years
so long?
or 10 years too early. Look, I think it was a realization for me itself that I was reaching those points in my jobs where it was becoming difficult for me to basically do the same thing. So for me, I think that part was starting to get more and more difficult. I don't think there was a trigger at that particular point in time for me to make a switch. I moved to the climate domain first, mitigating change. And that cycle had started for me long ago. I kind of knew you may ask a question like this, and I was trying to think about it today, just in the early in the morning. And I realized that even in grad school, when I was doing my master's in the US, when they had the spring break opportunities, I actually looked for a spring break opportunity that was the alternative version of the truth. And they called it alternative spring break. All my friends went, like, party destinations and all. And I had a lot of fun in that week or 10 days, but it was working with people in Mexico under the YWCA umbrella, when you're working with basically kids and other underprivileged people. Climate change seemed to be a natural place with my background, coming from a more technical background. I'm a solutions oriented person. I like to solve problems, productize, create products and solutions kind of thing. I don't know if that answers your question. I don't have a specific trigger point. It was a career point at which I was like, okay, either I move from this job and find another one, or find a new role. And my family had said, my son had said when we moved to Mumbai, I'm done. I don't want to move again.
Right. Yeah, it definitely does answer our question. So our next question then is, a follow up to that a little bit, which is that, so once you decided to make the switch, what was it like? Was it just like a free fall, like, okay, let's see where this goes, or did you have some kind of a plan in mind that you put in action?
Avni, no plan.
Love it.
Kid you not, no plan, no bank balance. I started off, frankly, with two hands tied behind the back. Yeah, I think if I look back, and if I knew what those first 3 years were going to be, I probably wouldn't have taken the step. It just,
Wow.
yeah, it just happened. And then when COVID hit, it just like it just brought everything crashing down to some extent. So it was a very tough journey the first few years, with the exception of the fact that at every stage I still kept finding that I can contribute in this domain. And this is a thing I joke sometimes, that in the corporate world, when you meet somebody at a seminar or a conference, you're trying to find out what the other guy is doing without telling what you're doing, right? In this side of the world, mostly it's the other way around. you're trying to find out, hey, how can we
Work.
collaborate with each other? How can I make you better at your work and you make me better at my work?
Yeah.
And that's so positive. That's so fundamentally different drive it brings to you. And you're already coming with a lot of passion for the domain. A lot of us come by definition with passion and interest, and that feeds you. So then the desire to go back actually keeps going away. For 2 3 years, I after 2 3 years, I did float my resume around actually back in the old circles,
Oh,
and I had a few hits also, which I thought, okay, I was expecting kuch nahi hoga, but that did go through. But no, it was a tough journey.
so did you do that just to kind of reassure yourself that okay, I'm sure that I don't want to go back?
No, I don't think it was anything like that. I think it was done from places of being feeling like, okay, I don't know where this is going. Then what happens is along the way you're doing 20 other things, right?
Hmm.
And those, like I said, you meet people, they put you in some places, you're interacting with a lot of folks. And for me, a few things fell into place around that, pretty much just right at the cusp of COVID.
So basically, we'll say free fall then.
Yeah, free fall.
Completely free fall.
First 2 years of free fall.
But I mean, to tell you very honestly, most people that we meet who have, mid-career or early career or even late career mentorship have not really had a plan, but they knew exactly what they wanted to be doing, at the end of that entire process. So our next question, um, after you switched over from, say, your when you were working at your corporate job or your profession, um, what did your good day at work, your definition of a good day at work, how did that change?
How did that change?
Mm-hmm.
I personally, I don't think too much of a change. It's those points where I started realizing I'm having to deal with more like the internal politics or the management, managing up all of that stuff. That's when I would always get frustrated, right? But if I was actively contributing, it was a good day. I would always get excited about that. I don't think any of that has fundamentally changed. I think what today does make a difference is the small things matter, right? And like I gave examples of, enterprises that are really small. You see that aha moment of a founder where from suddenly they're thinking, hey, how do I think about a problem? There's a click that happens and they say something as simple as, maybe I don't need to worry about it today, and like I can focus on what I'm doing today and let this be tomorrow's problem or 3 months down problem. I think that gives a lot of joy, the smaller things. Whereas I think in the corporate world, you need a big win. I worked with large MNCs also, tier
Right.
one companies. Typically, a big win is what you need, right? You can't go up to the top management and sell something which is in their mind trivial. There's two numbers you're chasing all the time. I think we get a lot more nuance here,
Mm.
appreciate those things. Like I still remember we were walking through Wayanar. There's this lovely work going on there by an NGO in the forest, right, where they're uprooting invasive species
Mm.
and bringing back the original forest. The invasives, when they take over, and from outside it looks green. And Kerala we think is all green and all. We're driving by and like it's all green. So she told me, no, no, this is a green desert. Wait
Mm.
till you walk on the forest floor. The forest floor was barren. Now you go through that and then you go to the patch that they have worked on, even if it's a small 100 acres, and suddenly you're seeing birds and bees and butterflies in that small patch. And then this founder, the one who runs it, she got excited about seeing the sprouting of one new uh, tree, basically. And she said, we didn't plant this. The forest is now starting to come back on its own.
Regenerate.
Generative, right? The word we're using these days. And that even now I'm feeling so excited about having witnessed that, seeing that, and then but I wouldn't see it it was through her eyes, right? And my drive is a lot higher. Difficult to say no in this space just because you're a lot more excited about what you're doing.
Right. That's so amazing. We forget all about the diversity, the biodiversity that you need to make a forest. It's not just about greening a space.
Yeah,
Reforestation is a whole different level of species interaction, ecosystem building, which sometimes gets ignored with these big plantation drives and CSR projects and things. So thanks for bringing that up. And
yeah. In fact, if I may, and this would be the first time I'm kind of talking it in a open forum. I guess this is deeming open. To me, impact is not only about speed and scale;
right.
it's also about diversity. That's to me, yeah, that's the thing that just clicked in my head. Impact is speed, scale, and diversity simultaneously.
Right, great. That makes so much sense. So tell me, what's the most like non-corporate thing that you've done ever since you made the switch into an impact-focused career? Is there anything that maybe you've done once, you do every day, which you wouldn't even have dreamed of doing in your corporate job?
I think people side maybe. I have worked in hard cutthroat. I work in financial services sector. People can my LinkedIn gives a clear view of where I was. Uh, Putting people on performance plans, firing them, layoffs, all those kind of things. I think I see that very differently now. Not that I didn't see it differently that time. I always was very interested in people's development. That's not changed. But I think the concept has changed for me. And so this notion of job security and insecurity, which I think drives work in the corporate sector to some extent, I think that to me, I feel like in my own jobs, in my with my teams, howsoever, you know, let's say a person is not competent to do what they're doing, the answer is not figure out a way to let them go. And that's not something I want to do anymore ever in my life. I'm not saying I'll never do it,
But you don't
but
want.
I don't want to, and I haven't done it so far.
Okay. Our next question then. How important do you think it is for someone to have an education or, like a training background in sustainability before switching careers? Or do you think that it doesn't matter, passion is enough?
I think it's oversold. The need in today's world, it doesn't have to do with sustainability impact. I think it's everything. I see kids who are out of high school and won't go for a formal education, and 3 years later, excuse me, they're running their own enterprises, doing something or the other, right? And the two things I think make this challenging. One is education curriculum is, especially in our environment, is way, way, way behind the times. It always is. And today it probably is even worse. I I can tell you I ran a lot of sessions on impact careers under that umbrella of do good plus do well.
Mm.
And this is careers in impact. And invariably, I would have a bunch of students come up, and their feedback and the refrain is, we are not hearing this in the college at all. Curriculum is also such a constraining environment that how do you invest so much time and energy? And we haven't gone away from the exam oriented model. If it's a very
Mm.
practice driven model, it's a different story. Then you have to go that way. I think we don't value internships enough. We don't set up those. We did a lot of work in the US. We always used to work with interns. That model works. You have to be curious. Uh, I may be a little bit of an anomaly in my from my peers who went to the same graduation programs and engineering program of having switched a lot. So what's going to get you through? It's every time you can't go back to school. You have to be able to learn and have a curiosity element, which is I think passion will be the main driver. My advice is not okay, go and take a 2 year degree somewhere and then come back. If you want to do that, do it in parallel, but get off your bum, start today. If somebody says, hey, I want to, as a 23-year-old, I want to start a solar plant company, I'm happy to take out my time and have a chat with them without getting into, hey, do you have an education in the space or not? So that's why I said, because there's a lot of people who are interested in seeing more people work in this space,
Mm.
It also is not that necessary. Go find the people who have already spent decades in this space and work with them, talk to them, learn on the job also.
Yeah, agreed. And what is it that you think you've learned on the ground, or someone who makes a similar shift?
Frankly, on the ground, that's the thing, the learning that you get on the ground. Like I said, even a simple thing like installing a solar plant on a rooftop, uh, to land up at site in the middle of the afternoon when the construction team, who's on a daily wage, some of them are, when they're working in the middle of the afternoon, and at that point you'll run out of a lug nut, right? And then, or it's the wrong size, and then he's like, okay, I have to supposed to finish this today, how do I get it done, right? So it's that learning from the ground, the example I gave earlier. And on the social side, I think it is so much more starker, because you see those challenges around, whether it's education, whether it's agriculture. So I think that learning on is very, very crucial element. And for me, those experiences have been very foundational, I think, to be able to appreciate that. I still spend most of my time on this side, to be
Mm.
honest. I think there's a second one which comes because of the work we do at Minus CO2, which is the journey a person who's not in this space. You and I maybe have made transitions. There's some people who started and have remained in this space, but still the bulk of the population, mainstream, is sitting outside this space, right? Am Janta, as people would like to say. So that journey that people make, right? I think that's been also very amazing to see that you can bring mainstream also into this side by giving them a lot more, let's say, services and products which are more attuned to what is needed, rather than guilting people into it.
Yeah, so give them incentive rather than, making them
It's
feel
like
bad.
selling. It's like anything else, right?
Yeah.
If
And if you could bring one thing from your past life, from your corporate life, into this one, what would it be?
um, accountability. I think there's a little bit more sense of accountability at individual levels. Again, it comes with its caveats around job security and all of that stuff and fear. But the corporate world has done a very good job of kind of creating that accountability, right? For your work, for your deliverables, who you're accountable to, whom are you providing a service to? Whether you're in a back office or in a front office, a person knows that. I think in our sector, whether it's the for-profits or the non-profits, or however we look at it, we are a little bit more. I mean, I'll get murdered for this, but we're a little bit more laissez-faire.
This is probably the one thing that they talk about the most.
Yeah, and
Professionalism, accountability.
it starts from the top, and so what happens is you lose a little bit credibility across the board, but the work doesn't get done, right? At the end of the day, we are about the work. I think it'll make a big difference in how, again, back to speed and scale.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, here's a fun one. If your career shift had a playlist, do you listen to music?
Oh, I listen to a lot of music.
Oh, great. Okay, so what would the top track of your career shift playlist be?
Sinatra, I did it my way.
Nice. That's a new one.
No, I think, yeah. I mean, since you said career shift, yeah. The number of times I've been asked why the hell I'm doing what I'm doing. I remember once my wife said I went for an interview, and when I came back and I said, yeah, I have the job and it looks interesting, I might take it. She's like, but you don't know anything about this domain. Why are they hiring you? So yeah, I think yeah, I did it my way would fit the bill here.
Okay, great. All right, so this brings us to our last question. What advice would you give someone who's thinking of making a shift to the sustainability, impact, or development sector, early career, mid career, anytime? What is the one piece of advice that you would give?
One piece of advice would be very clear: choose whatever you're doing, choose it based on your passion. Don't go by what's the buzz on the street. It's not going to last the race for you. You choose what you're passionate about, put your heart out there. You're already passionate about it. You will find your champions along the way. You will find partners along the way. You will get going. The one thing that doesn't get you going is when you're not really heart and soul into it, because it's a demanding journey, right? um yeah, I think most lots of times I see people realizing that they're getting into it because they feel strongly about something, but they haven't done the deep reflection and thinking on what is it that drives them, and what is it that the kind of problem that they want to solve. Have to say, be a don't be afraid of failures and knocks along the way. I just have to say it as an entrepreneur. I think that's the journey here, and you will hit a lot of no's. Be thick-skinned about it. That's not a reflection on your person, you as a person. The no is maybe just a reflection of where society is, where the opposite person is. Doesn't make you, if you're really again passionate and you've thought through, won't make you shift from your own core around, hey, I think this is value driven, I think I can contribute to it, I think this can be done. And yeah, don't wait. Like I said, get up and start doing it today.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much. That was just wonderful advice. I think even I might take it.
You're welcome.
Great, Ashish. That brings us to the end of our Impact Shift conversation with you. It has been an absolute pleasure. And thank you for everything that you do for this sector, for people who are wanting to make a difference, and for the problem that you're trying to solve.
And I mean, same back to you, right at you.